I'm a huge fan of Grani from Arknights. I may go as far to say I'm a simp. I love her lore-wise, gameplay, and design. I guess I'll have to start from the beginning. What is Arknight? Arknight is a tower defense game where you use waifu to stop enemies from getting to the blue box. Granny is a vanguard, which means she can go on the lane to stop the enemy. She is also a charger, which means she can only block one enemy at a time. But when she kills an enemy, she gains EP, deployment points. These are the points necessary for you to deploy other operators. It's what their towers are called. Now that we got that out of the way, now let's talk about Granny. Granny proper, is to say. I like Granny's design. It may look simple, but there's actually a lot going on. For example, she has pins on the bottom of her coat. She has an armband which is relevant to her character, such as her home place, which her parents migrated from to Victoria, which is basically Britain, but not really. Also, she has a faceplate for some reason. Can't quite figure that out. Probably told through the story. Also, I really do like her pole arm, which apparently is 10 foot tall when extended fully, which is very funny to think about when she's only 5'1". I also like the work that the voice actress, Karine Reeve, sorry for butchering her name, but I like your talent on what you did with Granny. Also, I'm sorry for those who uses Japanese or Chinese, Korean voice actress. I'm a simple man. What can I say? Now, to get to the meat and bone of this video, Granny's lore. Now, she doesn't make a bunch of appearances, only two. Her own event and another one which I haven't read, which should probably tell you how much of a big fan I am if I haven't read her only and other appearance. Now, to talk about her event, Granny and the Treasure of the Night. It takes place in Delaville, a remote village in Casimir where her parents grew up and later migrated out of, where she has to defend a small village from bounty hunter who heard whispers and rumors that there might be treasure since they found one long ago, still buried with theirs. It begins with Granny saving the village chief, Carol. It is then that once again the bandits attack the village, but surprisingly, an operator from Rhode Island, Scotty, attacks the bandit while they're attacking the village, trying to get information about the treasure. In this chaos, Granny and Carol makes their grand escape, meeting another fellow, a gentleman one might say, Big Bob. Granny and Big Bob decide to work with each other since Big Bob is not part of the bandits that attack them. So, on Uneasy Truth, they make their way to the mountain where they are attacked by Bandit and Scotty alike. But when they finally enter the mountain, they are stopped by another dangerous group, the Reunion. Big Bob decides to be left behind to buy them time, so Granny and Carol, with heavy hearts, go deeper into the mountain, afraid about Big Bob's health. But when halfway through the mountain, Granny decides to stop and buy Carol some more time. So Carol goes on ahead, finding the treasure. It is then that Scotty finally catches up with Granny and wants the key to the treasure chest. But out of nowhere, Big Bob returns with his group, the Reunion, where he says that he is an ex-member of that group, a terrorist organization, where he said that it was too radical, just in time for Carol to come out with the treasure chest. So they all fight for the treasure chest, Scotty and Granny finally making amends and fighting together against Big Bob. But Big Bob and Granny don't want to hurt each other after becoming friends, so they make another deal. Big Bob and his ex-reunion group get to keep half of the treasure, while the other half gets to be used to repair the village, and Scotty gets to get the key, as she always wanted to. But there is another problem. If Carol decides to use the key, she will die. So, in her place, Granny decides to take the key and donate her blood to open the chest. Screen fades to black as we are put in suspense if Granny lives or she dies. But fortunately, she survives, and with Scotty's help, she managed to drive out the bandits that were haunting the village. And on the other side, Big Bob, along with his group, managed to travel to Colombia, a place where infected like them can live a happier life, a plot of land that they can finally call their own. And that is the story of Granny's event. Now, there is a backstory on why Scotty wanted the key, but this video is for Granny, so I'll leave that to somebody else. Now, on her other appearance, A Spark in the Dark, where I have basically read a summary, a really bad one, to say the least, was she blew up a warehouse, she stopped a criminal, she petted a cat, and then just left without any explanation. Now, there's not much to say. I have said everything about Granny. But there is one more thing I want to talk about before you leave, and that is basically her ships. Yes, Granny does have a ship, but not a lot, surprisingly. While there is the obvious of Scotty and Granny being the only two in her event, and also Granny gets depicted a lot with pizza for some reason. And Scotty gets depicted a lot with pizza too. Apparently, her skin in Chinese, and Chinese server, I mean, she eats a pizza, and then from there on over, she is always depicted with pizza. So, yeah, that's a pretty obvious chip. The one that I like the most, kind of. Second most, I would say. The second one would probably be my third, but it's a really cute one, I would say, and that would be Carol X Granny, which, if you don't remember, is the village chief. And yeah, I can see that. It's very cute. If Granny decides to settle down, I can see her going with Carol. But beside that, it's bland. But nobody said that bland was bad. There's also a meme ship, which is Granny X Big Bob, which I can find the appeal. Big Bob is a real gentleman, and I can see him getting well with Granny, though I would say more like a friend than actually relationship. But who knows? Maybe that's his only interaction with the game. Though I haven't really kept up with the lore of Big Bob. So, yeah, I can see why that one is beloved by the fan. And my favorite ship, which I have only read about one fanfic that convinced me that this was the ship, which was Granny X Wildmane. They're both horse girl, they both fight for justice. It's just one decided to fight for the law while the other one decides to fight for a knighthood, which I really love since they're both compatible with each other, fighting for justice, but wearing different armor, which is the coolest part in my opinion. And that's it. I would like to thank you if you made it this far. I'm really glad that you did. I finally found a video that actually talks about Granny, not as an operator, a review saying that she's kind of mid, bad would be the worst. But I really like Granny. I use her a lot. I got her to E2, but unfortunately, there was an accident that happened, and I had to reset my progress. So I managed to speedrun my way to get Granny, and it took me less than a day. So if you're interested, her event is on Regoing, so go ahead, pick her up. And thank you. Again, sorry for my voice. I know I sound a bit off-ish, but I don't speak a lot, so maybe that's why I sound weird. And again, sorry for suffering your ears. So yeah, come back again where I tell you about how I jumped a wall. I did this once, but there was no wall before, so it'll be interesting how it goes this time around.